So this is like the third time that I've made this video, and so I'm going to try and make this as concise as possible, because that's honestly what I'm trying to do, but I keep going on this terrible rant. So if this doesn't end up concise, then I apologize. But essentially what I'm trying to talk about here, and I saw this on another video that was on Tumblr, and I thought that I could sum it up a bit better, but I'm starting to notice that I can't. So here's my best try to do that anyway, because I feel like this is an attitude that we need to talk about, and we need to get out in the open, and we also need to stop. And that is the problem with everybody on Tumblr wanting to be liked. And let me explain this in a few different ways and a few different actions that I've been seeing with people that makes me feel like this is a problem. And the first one is that, okay, you can unfollow people that you don't like on your dash, and it is perfectly okay if people unfollow you. And what I have to laugh about is when I see people on my dashboard who are like, I lost 2 followers based on this post. Well, I didn't want you around anyway. Okay, first off, if you didn't want them around, then why did you make a text post talking about how you didn't want them around? Because it's dumb, and honestly, what's the point? They're not following you anyway. It's not like they're going to see it. And even if they, did check on you to see if you noticed that they unfollowed you, then honestly, that's not going to bring them back. They're not going to be like, oh man, they noticed that I unfollowed them. I need to add them back on so that way they won't be mad at me. No, that's not how that works. And so I have to laugh about people who quantify how great they are in conjunction to how many followers they have. Because let me tell you something. If you base your entire life on how many people follow you on Tumblr and how many people like your posts and reblog them, then here's something that I'm going to tell you that I never tell anybody. And that really needs to be said, though. And that's that you need to get a life and you need to grow up. Because your life is not the sum of your Tumblr. That's dumb. Your life is not your online presence. Now, granted, your online presence can add to your life, and it could bring things to your life that you feel like you're fulfilling your life by doing these things online, but the content of your Tumblr is not one of those things. And so, I don't understand people who get angry about other people unfollowing them, because it's no big deal. It really isn't. So, moving along here, the other thing that I want to talk about is anon hate. And I want to talk about the things surrounding anon hate. And first off, I will be the greater person and admit fully that I have sent anon hate. I have done it in the past. And when I did it, I thought that I had a good reason. In retrospect, there are some things that I still think that I had a good reason for doing it. But one of the things that I do now that I didn't do maybe a year ago is that if I want to tell somebody on Tumblr that I don't like their opinion, I tell them to their face, and I don't hide behind a gray curtain. Because if I feel very strongly about somebody's opinion and I want them to change that opinion, then I want to have a conversation with them. And I don't want to just go behind a gray face and be like, well, I think that you're stupid and your opinion is invalid and goodbye. Because that doesn't help them. Now, while I have made anon hate before, I have never, in the entirety of my Tumblr career, sent anon hate to somebody saying, go kill yourself. I have never done this. And if you do that, then you are a terrible person. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it for you and be like, okay, well, maybe your reasoning was valid, and maybe you thought that, you really had this strong opinion about what they were saying. No, you're a terrible person. You know what you are when you don't like someone based on the fact that they are different than you, or that they have different opinions than you do? You know the person that I liken you to? You are Professor Umbridge. Let that sink in for a moment. Think about it. And if you're not a Potterhead, then you know full on well, even if you aren't, who Professor Umbridge was. Everybody hated that bitch. So, I want you to think on that. And remind yourself whenever you feel like you need to send anon hate to somebody, that if you ever tell anybody that they need to hurt themselves or that they need to go die, that you are no better than the woman who gave a quill to Harry Potter that wrote in his own blood, "I must not tell lies." Because you are taking your words and you are engraving them onto the person that you are sending them to. And that is not okay. I don't care if they have a right-wing opinion that is so vile that it gives you the need to throw up. How you deal with that is you get a bucket, throw up into it, dispose of it properly, because that's biohazard, and then you ignore them. Because I guarantee that there are 200 people that have decided to not take the moral high road that you are taking and are spamming their inbox with messages of hate, telling them about how much they need to go die. And honestly, it really upsets me that, okay, if you do that to a right-wing opinion, you know what, it's Tumblr, and we're pretty left-wing as it is, so you kind of understand that, you know, there's this whole attitude about, oh no, you can't say that here. But doing it to people who are in a fandom is ridiculous. Deciding that you need to spam somebody's inbox with hate because they don't like a character that you do, they don't like a relationship that you do, they don't interpret these 2 lines of dialogue the same way that you do, that they say that your opinion is invalid, that, oh, you know, this 4-page monologue about how you think that these 2 lines between Dean Winchester and Castiel are so potent that this obviously cements their relationship, and somebody else says, dude, that's stupid. You don't spam their inbox. What you do is say, I wish that you would tell me why, because I feel very strongly about this, and we should have a good conversation about it, but you don't tell them, you're a faggot, go die. Because you know who did that to you? Because I guarantee somebody did that to you. Because I've seen all those posts on Tumblr where you have, if you were bullied in high school, reblog this because it's an experiment. Or if somebody called you this name, this name, this name, and this name, then reblog this. Or if you cut yourself, reblog this. And you see those posts with hundreds of thousands of notes. Hundreds and thousands of reblogs and likes and everything. So, you know that the majority of Tumblr, 90% of Tumblr was bullied, but you still do that to somebody else, based on the fact that they don't share an opinion that you do. That is terrible. Why would you do that to somebody? Why? It boggles my mind. Now, granted, I keep my Anon button on, because on the off chance that I do get Anon hate, which thankfully is not very often, I look at it, and I see that they are hiding behind this gray curtain, and I think to myself, you are a person on the internet that is probably at least 300 miles away from me, 3,000 miles away from me, I don't give a damn. And you're hiding behind a face because you don't want to tell me this and have a reasonable conversation about this. You don't want to put the time into that. So what you do is you tell me that I'm something that I'm not, or that I'm mean, or that I'm fat, or ugly, or lazy, or something like that, because that's something that somebody called you, and you're not very original when you're coming up with your insults. And I sit there and I think, my opinion of you and what you have written is so small that it is practically subatomic. And I feel like we need to start employing this opinion more. Is that we're not going to listen to the Umbridges of this world. We're not going to become the Umbridges of this world because we've been umbraged into something. We're not going to become Joffrey Baratheon. We're not going to become Professor Umbridge. We're not going to become Moriarty. We're not going to become all of these evil things, evil beings, so that way we can feel better about ourselves. We're not going to become communists. No, I didn't say communists. I said communists, because I want to include Teen Wolf in this. We're not going to become the Lord Englishes or the Conduses. We're not going to be these kinds of people, because we are better than that. And that is the world that is waiting for us outside. So while we're here, we need to keep in mind that this is our safe space, and it needs to be safe for everyone, not just the people that you agree with. So what I want you to do is, if somebody is bullying you over Anon, turn your Anon off, because I get it that you want to be strong and you want to prove that you're better than these people because you're going to leave your Anon on and you're not going to take their shit, but that knocks you down. And that's like being a block of concrete that is perpetually being beat down by Wreck-It Ralph and then fixed by Fix-It Felix. You don't get better. You just get rebuilt, only for somebody to knock you down again. That is not how people work. That is how building supplies work. That's how video games work. But those aren't people. So, if you're being bullied, turn your Anon off, because I guarantee you will be so much better for it. And the people who really do care about you will give you the support that you need off Anon. Which brings me to my second point. If you are one of those people that does support people via Anon because you feel like if you give them the attention that you feel like they need, that you're going to come across as one of those people that gives them the attention that they need so that you'll get something back later, don't worry about it. Because honestly, giving somebody your love and support is worth them knowing who you are. And I don't understand that viewpoint of I can't let somebody know that I love and support them. So it's okay to do that. And it's okay to turn your Anon off so that way people can do that. Because I guarantee the moment that you turn that Anon button off, people will love you still. And you will receive 90% less hate. And the people that do send you hate still, at least you'll know who they are so you can ignore them. Because they are not worth your time. Now, another thing that I want people to do is I want them to stop sending Anon hate. And I've discussed this earlier. But if you ever feel the urge to write out a reply to some weird post based on fandom, that you feel like you need to tell somebody your opinion is wrong and you need to die in a hole, then I want you to step back away from your computer and I want you to reevaluate your life. And why you think that steam-powered Draft or, Teen Wolf or Homestuck or Danganronpa is so important to you that you feel like anybody who has a different opinion needs to go die so that way your fandom can be better. Because I will tell you something right now, if you are that person who is thinking that, then you are the cancer that is killing your fandom. Without a doubt. I'm hitting 14 minutes and I don't even care at this point. So, what I'm trying to say is to stop being so damn passive-aggressive and start actually loving people and start following people that you like, unfollowing people that you don't like, and stop sending Anon hate to each other because we are in a community that is full of bullies that are bullied. We are a community full of people that have blogs that randomly stop. And they don't post for 2 months, even though they posted every day, and you start having that sinking suspicion that they actually went and killed themselves. But you'll never know, because they're a person behind a computer screen and you can't call them. And you want to find the Anon that finally made them snap and actually do it, and you just want to ask them, why would you do that to my friend? Why would you send someone hate like this, so that way they would kill themselves when they had so many people that loved them and supported them? Why would you do that to a person? And you want to ask a person this. And you don't want to be the person that is asked this. So don't send it in the off chance that you are found. That is all I have to say. And I pray that even if this doesn't get thousands of reblogs and millions of likes, that at least it gets to somebody who needs to have this talk, who needs to think about this, who needs to step back away from their computer and think, I have done the wrong thing. And then they need to accept it, and they need to be better. That is all I want out of this video. That is it. It's just to have people on Tumblr be fucking nice to one another for once in our lives. So that way I don't have to spend every single day going through my dash and finding at least one of my friends who is getting anon hate because of some opinion that they made about Supernatural or Homestuck. And thinking, this is so irrelevant to everybody's life, why does it matter? That is all I want. Because I would like to point out, we have a convention next year. 2014, we have DashCon. So we need to get our acts put together before we go to this convention and find out the person who is sitting behind the keyboard that follows us, that may have sent you anon hate, that may have been rude to you. We need to do this, and we need to do it now. Have a nice day.